Clutter everywhere. Those piles of paper and mountains of clothes can cause anxiety, affect our health, even cost us time and money. While we tend to gain fewer possessions after age 50, we're also less likely to sell things or give them away. Clearing the clutter takes work, but getting rid of all that stuff can make you feel calmer, happier, even make your home safer. Hi, I'm Tony St. James. Welcome to this month's edition of Rural America Live with AARP. So, why are we so attached to our stuff? And more important, how do we decide what to purge? And where do we start when it's time to downsize? You know, we'll explore that question with a professional organizer a little later and get her tips to change your mindset and get that clutter under control. We also want to hear from you. Our question of the month is, what's keeping you from clearing the clutter? Are you struggling to decide what's worth passing down to the kids, or is it time to downsize and you really don't know where to start? We want you to be part of tonight's conversation. And we're giving away a flip-top cooler to 5 random lucky on-air callers. Now, you don't need to be a member of AARP or over the age of 50 to win. But as a reminder, you can win only one time each calendar year. We want to let those who are winners tonight know that AARP will call you back using the number you called from. Now, it won't be tonight, but they will give you a call in the next few days to confirm your mailing address. And if you're a past winner and you haven't yet received your cooler, hang on. Be sure to return their call and provide a shipping address. Best part, AARP pays for everything shipping costs. Okay. Now, if you're new this year, guess what? If you're not a lucky winner, you can enter AARP's Second Chance Sweepstakes. AARP.org/AARP Live. Or you can do what I do and just simply scan that QR code on the screen to enter. One carry-all tote given away each month, with the winner announced during next month's program. Rules apply, and you can only enter one time in a calendar year. We'll announce April's Second Chance winner later in tonight's show. Okay, phone lines are open tonight. Give us a call, 877-283-7570, and they're all open right now. So 877-283-7570. You can join the conversation. We're ready to take your call. I also want to welcome back our friends from AARP, Sean Vasquez, AARP Oklahoma State Director, and Kathy McClear, State Director from Minnesota. Hey, I'm glad both of y'all are here because this is a topic that's pretty close to me. I don't know about y'all.
It's going to be a self-help show for me.
Okay, decluttering, streamlining, simplifying. It's really the topic tonight. And I'm sure there are many out there just like me who need some tips and some tricks to figure out how it can be a little less chaotic, if you will. So I think it also becomes tougher as we become older because we're sentimental with these things, and we don't just want to throw it out, do we? No. So I guess the first question is, why is it so hard to get rid of our stuff?
Yeah. Well, I think you hit part of it, sentimental being a big part of that I want to give that item. Maybe it's that vintage tractor or that grandma's china to your loved ones, your children. And the other thing is some people feel that I may need that in the future, or think about those parts in your barn that I may get around to using that again. So those are some factors, but I think one of the biggest reason it's really the stress. They don't know what to do with it. We looked at a recent survey of national caregivers, found that the thing that caused the most stress was handling the stuff or settling the estate. So stress being a big part of that. If you look at the number one thing keeping people from getting the health care they need in their home and getting or moving or downsizing is really that downsizing and how do I get rid of all that stuff. So the big thing to notice too, most of your relatives don't want that stuff anyway.
Okay, Kathy, I think it's I'm really looking forward to getting your thoughts here as well. If no one wants it, it really becomes a real burden to our families. What do we do with all this? So, thoughts?
Yeah. So many people our age are really dealing with this right now as we're maybe caring for our parents, our aging parents, or maybe we're empty nesters and it's time for us to start downsizing. So AARP offers downsizing and decluttering presentations. We have virtual presentations, and many state offices offer in-person presentations that are led by AARP volunteers. And here's a few tips that they offer. So first off is give away those legacy items right now. So those are the things that maybe have that more sentimental value than actual monetary value. But don't wait to give them away until you settle your estate or to leave your kids to divvy up. Giving them away now lets you see your loved ones enjoy using them or display them. Plus, it empties out your house a lot faster. So the other tip is avoid punting. So punting is maybe when you convince or guilt maybe the next generation into taking an item that they don't really want. Maybe it's furniture or a teacup collection or a silver set. We often take it because we know that our parents would be upset if we didn't take it, but we take it out of obligation. And that's really what creates the burden on the next generation. So what do you do if your kids don't want your stuff? Well, you have to ask first, right? And if they say, I really don't like it, or I really don't want it, or it doesn't really fit in my home, respect their decision, because that's hard to have to take that burden on. And then the next generation has to store it and figure out what to do with it. It's much better to sell it or donate it to someone who does want it and will love it again or use it in the future.
That is great. Great advice. And again, don't get upset about any of it. I think that's another good way to look at it. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You have to respect those decisions, and it's a tough thing.
I think the worst thing you can do is say, when are you going to throw that junk out? I mean, that sets up a really a confrontational situation. So never go into those conversations about calling it junk and when are you going to throw it away. So be respectful and really meet them where they're at, what they're going through and what their plans are for it, and set priorities.
Yeah, that's a great point. If someone's trying to offer you something, don't be rude about it, but say, you know what, maybe there's someone who would appreciate this more than I will.
Right, and that's another thing is maybe take it and then find somebody who you can pass that on to.
Yeah. So, absolutely.
Okay, it's great tips, and we've got so much more to get to. We have 5 Carry All totes to give away tonight. We want to hear from you. If you'd like to enter the Second Chance giveaway, use your phone, scan the QR code. It's on the screen. And when we return, our special guest, estate sales expert Jennifer Vasquez, joins the show to take your questions. Phones are open right now. We want you to join our conversation. Here's the number, 877-283-7570, 877-283-7570. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. All right, do you need to downsize? Do you need to declutter? How about streamline and simplify? Well, we have the show for you tonight. Professional organizer Jennifer Vasquez joins us to take your calls, and maybe you have a declutter tip to share, or you don't know what to do with all that stuff. Well, sometimes our kids don't want them, the things, and sometimes, other family members don't want them. We'll figure out what we can do with that stuff tonight. We'll also give away a cooler to 5 lucky on-air callers. So pick up the phone, give us a call, 877-283-7570, 877-283-7570. If you're not a lucky winner tonight, enter AARP's Second Chance Sweepstakes. Do that online, aarp.org/AARP Live, or scan the QR code on your screen to enter. And 1 tote given away each month, winner announced during next month's program. All right, we'll announce last month's winner a little later in the show, but it's great to have our AARP friends here. I want to welcome Jennifer Vasquez to the show. You're a professional declutterer, organizer, and, well, overall mindset coach. It's great to have you here.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, little background. Are you from the Nashville area?
Originally from New York, and I've been here for about 8.5 years now.
Okay. Now, I'm also kind of curious here. What do you find as really the biggest barrier when people decide it's time to downsize? What advice do you give to clients?
Immediately, there's a sense of overwhelm. I don't know where to begin. I don't know how to decide. I'm embarrassed. I don't want you walking into my house. It's a lot of, there's a depression. There's a lot of blockages that are stopping them.
Okay. What about, and we've got phone calls coming in, getting ready. But before we get to those calls, I just wonder, maybe 3 tips you might have for getting started.
Yeah, so the first most important thing is you have to decide. So making the decision is going to be the biggest way for you to start this process. I know that sounds very simple, but it's not. The second thing is when you decide, and I always say get support, not from a family member, but someone that maybe AARP or professional or a friend that's not judgy. And pick a space, just one little space that resonates with you, and then start there. Okay, we're chunking this out. We're not doing this in a day. And then the third thing is preparation is key. So you want to get boxes, small and mediums. You want to get a Sharpie. You want to get boxing tape. You'd like to get like maybe 2 or 3 clear bins. You want to see through everything. You want to get garbage bags, hefty and not so hefty, so you can put donations in the not so hefty, the garbage hefty. So it's really preparation so that you're going to set yourself up to succeed.
Oh, I love it. 3 good tips for us. You know, Sean, earlier in the show, we mentioned stress of clutter, but keeping a bunch of junk is a hidden price tag too, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's another issue with clutter. And when you heard the old adage, time is money, well, space is money as well. So we've got some important tips, I believe, that will show folks who are watching that really talk about the loss of living space and or the cost of clutter. According to, since 2019, I believe the price per square foot of homes that have sold, according to Realtor.com, has increased 54%. And so that's a big jump. So the cost of your home has increased. And so that's really important to think about too. So think about what you're gonna do about the loss of living space. What does that mean to you? You're losing out on living space if you keep the clothes you're not ever gonna wear again in the closets, move them to the attic, get rid of them, donate them. Think about the loss of space that you have. And think about your time as well. That time that you waste in trying to find items that you're looking for. Think about the time you're wasting in cleaning around the clutter that you have. So that's a consideration that you need to take as well. And storage fees, all right? I mean, think about storage fees. They're expensive. I believe we saw like at $37 billion per year Americans spend on storage space. Also think about the cost of getting rid of that junk. It usually comes out to about $1 a pound. So you don't want to eat those costs. You don't want your loved ones, if you pass on, paying for those additional costs. So again, I think these are 4 areas that are really important when you think about the cost of clutter and what it means. And we know the price of everything's expensive right now. It's a pocketbook issue. Again, the price of clutter is really expensive.
All right, Kathy, you mentioned presentations offered on the topic earlier by state offices. What can you tell us more about that?
Sure. Well, we have, in Minnesota, we have lots of volunteers and many other volunteers in state offices across the country. They offer lots of free workshops and presentations on a variety of topics, from fraud, planning for retirement, even downsizing and decluttering. And I think we have one of our volunteers who gives those presentations throughout the year. I think she's joining us by phone tonight. Joanne, are you with us?
I certainly am, and I'm really pleased to be here. And everything I've heard so fits with what I've experienced as well.
Well, that's really wonderful.
You've been...
Yeah, go ahead, Joanne.
No, we've been giving a lot of these presentations around the state because the topic is of great interest, especially among us baby boomers now who are trying to find that one-level, single, downsized house. And I totally agree that the one best word that describes how people feel is overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Joanne,
the question I probably get the most is, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is this kind of a generational thing too? I mean, certainly I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, so I'm the me generation, right? I liked my stuff, but my parents were children of individuals who lived through the Depression, and so they were really, they used every little thing that they had. So how much of a generational thing is this?
It is totally a generational thing. I mean, you think about it. I mean, when I do my presentation, I often ask people if anybody remembers S&H green stamps or Christmas clubs. You know, when my mom wanted a new dress, she put $5 down on it at Powers and then paid $5 more until she could pay it off. Nowadays, you want something, you buy it from Amazon, and it shows up on your doorstep the next day. So the problem is that we've got these two large generations, the silent generation and the greatest generation, that are put all of this value into the things that they accumulated because they grew up without. And then we have their kids and grandkids who don't share those values. We have a slide in our presentation that says the first thing you have to realize is that nobody wants your stuff.
Yeah.
And I modify that later to say nobody you're related to wants your stuff. But one person's treasure is definitely another person's, or one person's trash is another person's treasure. So we spend a lot of time helping people find homes for their stuff that people will appreciate.
Awesome. So one final question, and keep it short if you can, but this really ties into some of the other work that AARP does. We have some home fit presentations that help people make their home safe as they age. And then also, how does this tie into caregivers?
Well, I think it's a really good point. And oftentimes, Kathy, when we're doing the downsizing decluttering, we follow that up with our home fit presentation, which is about what you can do around your house to make it feel be safer as you age. And so it's a perfect fit. It's a kind of a 1-2 punch. We do it that way frequently. And I think caregiving is such an important issue, and you can't really caregive if you're surrounded by crap. And so I think helping your loved one get through their stuff and give it away, find it homes, is such a great gift. And we try to help people see that. We talk about giving with warm hands.
Oh, I love that. Well, Joanne, thank you so much for calling in tonight. I appreciate that. And it is a gift, I think, to help someone downsize and declutter and giving things away with warm hands. So I would encourage other viewers, if they liked what they heard, seek out what's offered in your community. AARP offices all across the country do this. And all you have to do is go to aarp.org/local to find events that are happening in your community. And if this interests you and you want to volunteer, we're also always looking for volunteers. And I'm sure we have other callers waiting to jump into the conversation.
We do. As a matter of fact, we were going to break, but let's jump into the callers because I can't wait to hear Mamie from Virginia. By the way, congratulations. You're a winner tonight. What do you have for us?
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I'm a sucker for ordering gadgets and blenders and veggie blenders and stuff like that. And most of the time, I don't use them. Some of them almost a year. So, do I just hold on to it, or sell it, or what?
That's actually a great question. What do we do with gadgets that aren't used very often?
So I would say I have 4 questions that you ask. This is like how to decide. So the first question is, have I used, touched, worn this item in 6 months? Yeah. Okay. The next thing is, does this item bring me joy when I touch it? Is it just, the next is, do I need this item? Or is it time to give it away? And the final one is, if you've said no to all the first 3, then your decision is made. We simplify. We're like, okay, well then therefore, can someone else appreciate this? Well, then it's time to say thank you. I want to honor our stuff. I think that's a big thing. You're not just throwing it away. So really saying thank you, I appreciate you, and now I'm going to give you to someone else. I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to give you to someone else to enjoy. So I think that is a very simple way to decide. And if you don't absolutely love it, then let someone else absolutely love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
By the way, yeah. Thought somebody would catch that, by the way. Thank you. All right, hey, let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go Wisconsin. We've got Alan on the line. Alan, what do you have for us tonight?
Good afternoon, folks. How are you?
Never better.
Love your show.
Thank you. What do you have for us tonight?
Well, I am 73 years old, and a year ago in February, I was diagnosed with a kidney disorder and what do they call it? Prostate cancer. I've also got a heart condition, too, where I've had heart surgery and stents and bypass, and I even got a pacemaker. So, I'm a wreck. But anyway, being 73 and being diagnosed with prostate cancer last year, I realized it's time to unload my mess. So I went through everything, room by room, and I hauled 7 pickup truck loads of stuff to the St. Vincent de Paul store here locally. And when I got one room done, I felt good about it. And I was told a long time ago by someone, I don't remember who, if you don't need it, and if you don't use it in the last 6 months, get rid of it. So, that's where I was at with that. And I've got a granddaughter who's taken a few things, but I'm not I needed to get rid of as much as I could, because when I go, I don't want my kids to have to spend a week going through stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so great. Thank you so much for sharing that. I loved what he said. He felt good.
Yes.
Right? It feels good when you kind of lighten the load on some things.
Do you find that's the case?
Yeah, and I was going to say, first of all, I acknowledge, because that's chutzpah at 72, 73, and with everything.
What's that?
Chutzpah, it's just like, he has...
I'm from Oklahoma. You got to translate for me a little bit.
He's got he's got cojones. He's like, he can really get it, done. Props. But I think the really good points about it is, one, that we have to remember that his children, we don't want to have to put it down to our children, because that's more stress that we don't have to. So it's wonderful that he did that, but also I want to say what he said, room by room, piece by piece, section by section, and then I released and I felt good, and then I went to the next, and then I did that. So that's a perfect example of just really taking a breath and understanding, again, this does not have to get done in a day. And I think that is the biggest overwhelm, is that people are like, I'm ready. And I'm like, okay, well, it's taken you 30 years or 40 years to get here, take a breath and it will get done. And when you lift some pieces, you will feel the breath, and then you can go back and you can keep repeating. So I loved... And I'm just, that's wonderful.
Well, and the health struggles he's going through. Be able to take that on and think about that. And we want to send him thoughts and prayers. I know it's a difficult time for him and his family, but looks like he's making all the right decisions.
Speaking of decisions, we've got another phone caller. Let's see. This is Georgia, and it's a winner. Hi, Patrick. Hey, Patrick, you there?
Thank you for taking my...
Yes.
Indeed. Thank you for the quality content, the experience here. This one's been nagging at me, so thank you for taking my question. Just with decluttering the house, I have not just my computer from yesteryear and new computers and Samsung and tablets and phones and things that have all types of family history, but it also has a lot of financial information. So I just haven't really found a way, other than just collecting dust, in the closet, of a safe way to purge those and either repurpose them or at least, most importantly, get information off of it. So it's we're have a peace of mind when we give it away or donate it. So that's it's kind of a digital question. Interested in your thoughts.
John, you want to take that one?
Well, I think he's hitting on something really important too, and we haven't talked about it, is the paper clutter or the digital clutter that you have and how to get rid of it. And you might check going to AARP.org/local, because AARP sponsors a lot of shred events to get rid of those documents, those personal. It's a safe way to shred your documents, and that's a great way to declutter as well. So don't forget about those shred events in your states, and AARP hosts those across the country.
Yeah.
Take advantage of them.
And I would say if you have things like photos, if you don't have the knowledge to save those off in a way that you can preserve those for a long time, find someone who can help you do that.
Yeah.
And then there are recycling programs, for some of those digital pieces. But you're absolutely right with that financial information on there. You can have your hard drives shredded. It's not just paper documents. You can also shred digital things too, right? An iPad. Make sure you get what you need to save off of that device before you do that. But seek out an organization or a service that can help you wipe that hard drive clean before you take it to a recycling bin.
Y'all just keep stomping on my toes, okay? So yeah, what I do is my old computers, I take them apart, disassemble, and then I put the hard drive over to the side, so I have a stack of hard drives, but nothing to do with them. So that's good information, because I'm not ever going to use them again. I just don't know how to get rid of them. So that's good information.
Well, I'll tell you what, I still have some computers that take floppy disks at my house.
Yeah. That was another AARP show, my floppy disk with the wheel.
I still have 8-track tape player.
There is nothing wrong
Thank
with
you.
that.
That takes a lot of space.
Yeah, that does.
That is a space killer.
The other thing I just want to share, because the information is really good, but I always have to come back to, because the overwhelm that he's dealing with, again, it's like, I will always say to my clients, here are your actionables. So you're going to, you might have 50, and that's overwhelming. So your actionable is taking one and then doing that and then breathing through that and another. Like, this is a system. So the word declutter doesn't have to be a monster. It can be a joyous experience if we take it and really just use it as an actionable, like, I am going to wipe this one clean. The other thing about shredding, and that's wonderful, but with computers, to also, like, my Dropbox, it's like has become like a wonderful array of a beautiful closet, right? So again, like, chewable actions, whatever you do need, get some support. Do not do this on your own. You don't have to. And that's the whole point. If you do with someone, it's going to be much more enjoyable, and they can keep you on task.
Wow, I just thought of another idea. What if you know how to do this and you could help by volunteering with others to help them declutter, maybe digitally or whatever? So
that's a great suggestion.
It's such a big part
ideas.
of my clients. Like, I will have to days and days and days of just shredding, organizing, and then getting it into the computer system. That would be a beautiful volunteer project, and it's so needed, so needed.
Jennifer, I love that you're talking about how it feels to declutter, right? Because all of this stuff is very emotional for people. And I know you brought us some before and after pictures. So when you see somebody go from that very cluttered room to something that's more usable and they get that space back, what's the feeling? How do people express that feeling when you've helped them?
Well, ironically, the first thing is fear, because a lot of the bigger people that are cluttering, there's empty space. And at first, it's very uncomfortable because they are protected by their stuff. So at first, they have to get used to this. Afterwards, then they are lifted and they can walk through their house. They don't trip. There's accessibility. So, but I have to be honest, it's uncomfortable because space is their blanket. And you gotta restructure your brain to realize space is not allowing you to move forward. I mean, the space is allowing you to move forward. The clutter is keeping you in your past. It's keeping you there.
Good point.
Good stuff.
Hey, we've got another phone call, and let's go to Albert. Albert's with us. Albert, what do you have tonight?
Good evening, sir. How y'all doing?
Good, sir.
Great.
Hey, I want to first go back to Alan and just say that, golly day, he's got a lot going on, and we're going to be praying for him.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was watching the show, and it resonated with me because a lot of what y'all was talking about is kind of things that I think about, and I found interesting that whole punt idea. I have two boys that probably don't want a whole lot of the stuff that they call it hoarding. It's not that bad, by the way. But I think that idea of punting to somebody who wants it is pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What can we add to that?
I again, it's important to have those conversations now. If someone can use your stuff, a family member, ask them. And it's better to decide it now than wait until someone passes on. And then there's the guilt. And what do we do with it? It's grandma's and China. What are we going to do? I'm guilty to take it. And but have those conversations now. And I think he's doing the right thing. And I love that term, punting.
Yeah. In fact, we just did a virtual session in Minnesota with our extension service, our county extension service.
Great.
And it was entitled What to Do with Grandma's Yellow Pie Plate. Because those are the things that you just hold on so much emotion to. And it is hard to make that decision, for sure.
Okay. How about another caller? This time we'll go to Indiana. And we've got another winner. It's Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Thank you for calling. What do you have for us tonight?
Yes. Well, I moved 5 years ago. I'm 69 now, but I retired and moved 5 years ago from Indiana to North Carolina to be a super grandma. And when I did that, I downsized. It was very painful. I got rid of 1 million cookbooks and dishes and tons of things. And I thought, that did it. I'm 65 and I've done it. Well, I made the mistake of when I moved to a bigger house, I started upsizing again and buying more things again. So my first encouragement is if you supposedly downsize, don't let yourself upsize again just because you buy a new place that has bigger closets. So that's one advice. And then once I did retire and move, I started working just part-time for fun for a furniture refinisher and a state clearance site. And once I started working in other houses where I saw clutter and saw hoarding, it kind of convicted me like, okay, don't be that person. And I also started volunteering at a thrift store. And that's my number one advice. If you're retired, if you've got the time to volunteer at a thrift store, you see the joy that other people get when they come in and buy your used plates or buy your used clothes. And it makes it easier to donate things because if you're volunteering, you're going in every week. So you don't have to wait till you have a big garbage bag full. Yeah. You can go in with just one pair of pants or one dish. It makes it so much easier to donate things when you don't feel like you have to clean out a whole room before you do it, and you see the joy. Another thing I started doing was recycling dishes. I met some artists that break up old vases. You have old ladies have a cabinet full of vases. if you know you can find an artist that will use those for art, it's a little easier to get rid of that box full. I also joined a quilt group and found people that love to get old fabrics. They make pillowcases for children in orphanages. They make beautiful quilts for veterans. And you find a way to find joy instead of pain in your donating. And that's the tip, is find joy in it instead of thinking it's something hard or you're giving up. You're adding to other people's lives.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you, Sarah.
Man,
That's so great. Yeah.
a lot of great items.
I think about all the T-shirts my husband has, right? I tried to have a one in, one out rule. Doesn't really work that way, but all of those T-shirts could be turned into blankets or quilts that someone else could use. And I have a lovely teacup collection, but what if you create a bird feeder or a bird bath, and you could turn that into a business, right? If you happen to have a lot of those things, you could, and you're crafty, you could upcycle these things and turn it into a business.
Yeah, and I love, what I love is that everything she said, there's so many good points where it's like, first of all, the awareness. So when you're starting, like she decluttered and then moved into a bigger space. So the first thing also, a mindset, is what's underneath, where's the root? Because you can declutter and you're going to go right back to it. So I liked her awareness where she's like, and then I realized, and that's a wonderful thing, awareness, because you can shift your mind when you're aware. And then she was able to do that. And then she's going in and having all these ideas of like, you're going into, a vintage place, you're going in, and volunteering. But the whole point of her, the awareness of this is so important, because a lot of the people I'm working with, it's not going to shift until we see what's up, what's going on. Then it can shift. So kudos, because that's a wonderful thing you're doing, and wonderful for the community.
Jennifer, Kathy mentioned the one in, one out rule.
Yeah.
Do you
all
talk
the
about,
time,
or could we like one in, 5 out?
One in there,
that's a good practice, isn't it? I mean, do you use that a lot with talking to clients?
I do, and I also want to say, because this will be helpful in understanding the assortment of how you do things. So there's like declutter, downsize, organize, clean, repeat. Okay, so it's all different processes. So when you're decluttering, you're basically getting rid of the junk. You are deciding whether you want to keep it, donate it, or I'm not sure yet. Okay, and so that process, when you're, we repeat these processes. So to answer your question, when we get to a point where I'm like, okay, now I've got you on a system, you're aware what you're doing, you're just bringing too much in, you're going to donations, and you're bringing it all back, and we're going to bring it back. I'm going to tell you to bring it back. So I will say, and people will be on board once I'm working with them for a while and they get it. I'm like, okay, so you got this. Now what are you giving up? And that will be just the way, and then that's the way. So what did you give up? Oh, I'm going to give up this. So it becomes a new habit. There's nothing wrong. I'm just not going to hoard it because, again, I always, and take this the right way, but I'm like, stop being so selfish. I'm like, there are so many people that want your stuff, and it's in the closets and it's in a storage unit, and so it's more like, take the time to one in, one out. And the most important thing I can say is when you look at your home, you want to know that there is, instead of having 30 things on a shelf, it's overwhelming to take that in. But if you have 4 things that are beautiful and you love them, you can take it in and you could breathe, literally breathe. So it's very important to be able to, the accessibility, the safety, but also the visibility of being able to reach for something without something else falling.
Good point. By the way, my wife does some of this, and I learn about it on Facebook when I get on Facebook and realize, oh, well,
She's selling your stuff?
Yeah, there went my skateboard from junior high. But anyway, again, whether you sell it or whatever, find a new home.
Yes.
Somebody wants it. I don't know who wanted my old skateboard. It only had 3 wheels. All right, let's go back to Minnesota. Minnesota's repping tonight. Let's go. Kimberly's on the line. Hi, Kimberly. What do you have for us?
Hi. I have been trying to help my mother declutter the last few years because She's only 70, and she's had a stroke. She's got neuropathy in her feet, knee replacement. Now she's getting neuropathy in her hands, and her health is declining. And Dad will be able to take care of her at home maybe another 3 years or so before assisted living. And they have a huge, beautiful house they bought in retirement the last 10 years. And she's filled it up and then some. Lots of jewelry, lots of clothes, you name it. And it's so hard to get her to part with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really tough one. And I think, like I said earlier, lots of folks our age who have aging parents are kind of they're in that same boat. And, I heard some great advice from another AARP volunteer just last week. In retirement, he and his wife started every Monday, they clean the house. And so they split up the responsibility. So one Monday they clean and the other Monday they declutter. And they just set aside like an hour at a time. And so, like Jennifer was saying, maybe if you just put those into bite-sized pieces, like today we're just going to do this drawer, or today we're just going to do a bathroom cabinet. Maybe some of those bite-sized pieces will make it a little bit easier and make it not so overwhelming.
And I also think because in those situations, and I've had a lot where the children reach out and say, Mom, is not doing this. And I said, well, you can't force Mom. So that's number one. And the more you force her, the more she's going to hold. So that's number one. Number two is having conversations. So not her daughter having the conversation, but someone else that, again, is a neutral party that starts picking her brain, which is what I like to go into the brain. And what's going on? Like, how were your parents, like, how did they live? What did they hold on to? Can you tell me what it was like growing up? The most important thing about decluttering the home is decluttering the mind, and that's why it's hand in hand. So it might be you have to have more conversations, and then once the acceptance of why she's doing it, maybe it's because my mom was bunkering down with all that other stuff, and that's what I grew up with, and now but the minute you are aware and accept it, you will be able to declutter. But you can't just declutter without the mind not being on the same team with you. That's why it is so important. It really is important to have these conversations, and get to what's happening with you. And then you can move forward, and then you can chunk it out.
I love this. Yeah. Thank y'all for being here. By the way, hang on. We have to take a short break, but we're coming back, and we still have a flip-top cooler to give away, so give us a call. Phone lines, we have a few lines open right now, 877-283-7570, 877-283-7570. You can join the conversation. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. We still have a cooler to give away, but before we do that, Sean, so glad that you're here. AARP has really been working hard on a really important issue, Social Security. Can you give us an update on what's been happening there?
Well, there's been a lot of things happening lately around Social Security. I know that we've been advocating to make sure that Social Security can pay out their benefits and customer service being issued with potential layoffs. And so what's important about this year, this is the 90th anniversary of Social Security. And we all know it's helped millions of Americans. It's been a lifeline. And for many Americans, it's been their primary source of retirement income. So this year, on August 14th, will be the 90th anniversary. Across the country, AARP is celebrating this milestone with events. And we want to encourage people to take part in that because Social Security has been a lifeline for so many people. We want to make sure it's strong and solvent for future generations. And so this is a great milestone for Social Security. And if you're interested in joining AARP, go to aarp.org/local. And all the states across the country are having celebratory events celebrating this important milestone for Social Security. It's been here for 90 years, and we want it here for 90 more years.
And you really, AARP has done such a tremendous job in making sure that it works. Is that safe to say?
That's true. I mean, our membership wants us to advocate on making Social Security stronger and not only secure for current generations, but for future generations. And so if we don't do anything to Social Security, if we don't make sure it's solvent in 10 years, it'll only pay out it'll be a 20% cut. It'll only pay out 80% of promised benefits, and that's not good enough. And so we've got to elevate and make sure people know the importance of Social Security and make it stronger for future generations. So we've got to make those adjustments. But let's celebrate Social Security, what it's done for people in the past, and we make sure it's there for people in the future.
Yeah, happy 90th birthday.
Happy 90th birthday, Social Security.
You know, Social Security programs are always so informational.
Yeah.
We actually look forward to that program on June 18th. All right.
Talking Social Security.
June 18th, and that's what we'll talk. So just make sure you're here.
And you've earned it. You've paid into it. You know, it's important.
Yep. Yeah. Every paycheck.
And there's also some states where, like, teachers are now, that's now available to them. So we'll have all of that information coming up for you in our program in June. All right, we've got that second chance winner to announce. You ready? Drum roll. And who is it? We go to Columbia, Missouri. That's where we go. Linda R., congratulations. You are our second chance winner for April. And there's a good chance your cooler is already on the way. We still have a flip-top cooler to give away tonight. Give us a call, 877-283-7570. Join the conversation. We're talking downsizing and decluttering. All right, you ready? Let's go back to the phone lines. Going to the Lone Star State tonight, and we found Tom. Hi, Tom. What do you have for us?
Well, it's a very interesting program. I'm an AARP member. I'm 80 and in good health.
Thank you. Great.
No clutter problems. Everything's clean and neat, but I am a collector. But the time has come to move it on. The family is not interested in it, and I'm moving it on. I'm doing it my way.
Oh, that's great.
So the expensive stuff I have put in a consignment shop. I'm a big collector of holiday items, Halloween, Christmas, Easter, Valentine's, the whole shebang. All that is going to the local charities here in town. My favorites are Settlement Home, Assistance League, and Salvation Army. And I know each one of those, what they will be able to sell on their own and get the most money for themselves out of it. So that's the way I'm working this deal.
Tom, that's great information. Just make sure you keep a little bit of room because you're also a winner tonight. So we want to send you a little something. It won't be clutter, though.
But you can put stuff in it. It's a cooler. You can put stuff in it.
It's not very big. It's small.
That's great. That's an awesome example to share.
I love that the whole point of with donations and anywhere you go, like I'll tell people, like, give it to homeless shelters or women who are getting back on their feet, or you know. So there's so many places you can just distribute and feel like you are again doing something good, you know, just serving your community. And I love, you know, also with estate sales. So. Not estate sales in a house, but there's shared estate sales, especially in Nashville. It's like you can just go and be a part of the estate sale. So if you have the stuff you want to make money that is worth something, you can participate in that. That's a great way to make the money rather than the donations if you think it's worth the money. But I love that he's not cluttering, but he's collecting. He's collecting.
Jennifer, do you ever hear from folks, you know, who are trying to make those decisions about, do I get rid of stuff or not? Is there a mindset there that people think, well, it may be worth something later on?
I immediately, when
people say that, well, it may be worth something. You know, those Star Wars toys that I should have kept.
I call up immediately. I have people on Rolodex to say, here's a picture of this.
Okay.
And I say, is this worth something? And so I do things, again, most important thing, immediacy. If someone says something, we're doing it right now. Like, for instance, well, I don't know if my daughter wants this. I was like, let's call up your daughter right now.
Okay.
So everything's a right now, so that you have. Are you going to call someone?
He's going to show you a picture.
He's going to look up his Star Wars toys that he's hiding in his closet.
Because honestly, like it's really about just again being mindful, you know. But I'm very adamant at right now. Because the problem is that you aren't doing things right now and you're still living in your past. But if I'm saying, if we give this away right now because it's not worth something, I could take it out of your house. So that's the other thing. You don't want to keep donations bagged up in your house. You want someone to take it out right away.
I've got some of those old Tonka toys and trucks that are
Steel.
They're steel ones?
She'll work with you later.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you have a number for that?
I know.
Because I thought they were worth something.
You just have to
Or do
have
we
the
wait
right
too long and they
person
become
to, like...
not
So
worth
here's
anything?
one thing you can do, and it's the reason I brought this out, eBay. If you have that app, all you do is take a picture of it, and it will search the eBay site and tell you what the value is based upon what other items like that are. I put a Mickey Mouse watch in there. I was pretty sure it was worth $10 million, and it's worth 120.
That's not bad.
But then it makes it so
120 is
much
still good.
easier to say goodbye to it, because now you're not debating, is it? It's like, well, find out. Like, the decision making becomes so much easier when you have the answer in front of you.
Right. Speaking of right in front of us, we have one more caller. Let's go to Oklahoma.
You bet.
A winner. Hello, B. What do you have for us?
I have a tip. You were talking about grandma's plates and stuff.
Yeah.
I come from a small town, and when my mother passed away, we donated it to the historical societies, especially the older things, something from the history of it, and they were so happy to get that material. And we also have churches that want to help people, and so the rest of it we donate there. There's so many places to donate, but the Historical Society, and if you have stuff from your old schools, they enjoy having it to put in their lockers too. So Historical Society is a great way to do it.
B, where are you from in Oklahoma?
Rieta.
Oh, all right.
Very good.
All right.
Well, B had a great tip. And even, I have some military folks in my family. They have a lot of things that they keep, and, military museums, or, that's a great historical society. That's a great way to preserve some of that history.
Okay, we're almost to the end of the show. Final thoughts, final tips. Quickly, Jennifer, what do you have for us?
I would say to make a decision, make sure you're asking those 4 questions. Have you used it, worn it, worn, what else was that? Oh, in the past 6 months, has it been used? Do you absolutely love it when you touch it? Is it something that you really need? And if not, can someone else really enjoy it? So that is a basic of how to make decisions. The other 2 things I would say is really always declutter with someone else. Always set a timer. Always have a little bookend where you can call a friend and say, I'm about to do this for 30, 60, 90 minutes, and then bookend it again. Hey, I did this. Be accountable. So that's basically like what I would say.
Okay, final thoughts, Sean?
Well, I want to do a tip, some great resources the AARP has. Kathy mentioned earlier about home fit being really important. AARP has a free home fit guide that's available to you. It sounds like we'll have a show about that in August. But again, that's a great resource, because as we get older, we want to live in our homes as long as we can. It's important we make those small or sometimes larger modifications so people can live in their own homes as long as they can. If you want that and more resources and information about the Home Fit Guide, go to aarp.org/AARP Live.
Okay. Kathy?
Yep. Those local workshops, we've got all kinds of volunteers that are ready to share this information with you, whether it's downsizing and decluttering, fraud presentations, or planning for retirement, a whole gamut of information. So find an AARP office near you and see what they have to offer.
Decluttering, we're doing it. Okay, that's our show for tonight, but make sure you're with us June 18th. AARP Social Security expert will join us in the studio taking your calls. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm Tony St. James. Good night.